Let's move big camera. Let's grab this fucker. Oh no, wait. Oh shit. All right. Okay. Make that not visible anymore. Let's move this. Okay, so what did you want? Sorry, you said something in chat. I'll move to that and then I'll follow up. Be cool to get your thoughts on the later on the federal election, the impact of. So, Diddy, if you're still here, I'll give you a brief thing. Basically, Doug Ford got up on stage and said a bunch of stuff that didn't really have any meaning to it. And then everyone else also got up on stage and talked about how they are better than the liberals. And then Doug Ford won. So it was fucking rough. It was weird. I don't know how to exactly describe it. I was getting amped to go in there and vote, you know. I was like, oh, maybe I'll fucking vote, you know. Maybe I'll go out and, you know, use my right to vote. And then that quickly got fucking roasted when I realized that everybody up there wasn't saying a single thing. The Green Party acted as if they could never win. UCP said that back to redneck Alberta, which is so dumb. Yeah, that's the only problem, right? Is like, so in Ontario, the Green Party didn't act like they were gonna win. They're like, okay, I know we're not gonna win, so if we can just get like 5 seats, you know, we can talk about these things and hopefully, you know, help the, you know. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna vote for you fucks because you know you're not even acting like you're winning. So I don't even know what you're gonna do when you actually win. So why would I vote for you? So I didn't vote for them. NDP party basically just said that they're Liberal Party but better, so I don't know any policies that they're going for. Liberal Party literally didn't say anything, no fucking policies, nothing. So I moved on from them as well. And then Doug Ford was like, dollar beer, and I was like, that's fucking stupid, and I didn't vote for him, and then he won. But yeah, so the problem I have also with these like right wing stuff, especially in Alberta is really bad, is that they, for whatever fucking reason, they unironically think that they can bring the oil jobs back when we're moving into a renewable energy economy, or we're doing our best to. Like, get the fuck away from the oil. Do your best. Yeah, sure. Actually, you know what? Did you join my Discord? Did I give you rights in my Discord? You here? Let's move you to this. I might move all the streamers to first memers. Yes, do at Discord. Okay, well, exclamation point Discord. Click that link. If you're here, you'll automatically join. If not, I'm in the chat. Just join up. While you do that, you can hop in. Don't say any racist things. I'm gonna go upstairs and get my water bottle. Please don't fuck my stream, okay? All right, I've returned. Oh yeah, I forgot I have to give you rights. I didn't give you rights. We have 2 accounts. Whatever. Okay, we gave both your accounts rights, I think. I don't know who joined. I don't care. You have rights. You can join the thing now. Sorry that I fucking ran around like a madman. Oh, so you'll have to turn on a push to talk. Well, you'll join the voice channel on the side. There'll be a left side. You'll see that there's like my name is on the left side. Click on that thing that's right above my name. You'll join this voice channel. I don't know how much you do or not know. I don't know. All right, so now you're in here. So I have it set so that you have to use push to talk. So open up if you look at your name and you look down, you'll see that your name is again in the bottom left corner of the screen. To the right of your name is a cog the only thing that's coming to my brain is cog. There's another word for that, gear, or gear if you want to call it that. Click on that. You'll see a huge thing of settings on the left side of the screen with all the words and whatnot. Go down to voice and video. Click on that. Press push to talk and then set a push to talk button or a key or anything like that. And then that button you'll have to hold down to talk to me. Make sure that the delay is make sure that you know that there might be a delay on of like 2 seconds. So you'll hold it down, wait 2 seconds and then talk, or you can turn the delay off.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Perfect. Cool. Welcome.
Cool.
So what's up, buddy?
No, I was going to talk about the impact of Ford and whether or not what Ontario is seeing with this right-wing movement is going to lead to people to eventually vote out Trudeau, or are we look for alternatives like the NDP?
Yeah, so it's a question because right now Doug Ford is pretty hated in Ontario. So it's weird. He might actually he might be hated fast enough that he'll sway the Ontario vote back towards Liberal. My city specifically though is pretty fucking conservative, so I don't know if that's going to happen. But if Doug Ford himself is capable of scaring the Ontario population enough, it might actually swing back towards Liberal. The issue is that I don't think Trudeau is like good enough to get the vote, so we might have to vote NDP or something, but I don't know how they'll do because no party in the entirety of the Canadian system seems to want to talk about policy, which is I think our biggest problem.
Yeah. See, that's the problem I have with Trudeau and the Liberals. Is that you should have realized like very early on that this is a pretty cancerous thing that he did with the SNC in Quebec.
Yep.
That if you really, really want to save your party and cut ties, boot him out of office, have the next whatever vote that you want for the interim party leader,
Yep.
and then go into the next election cycle. Because then at least people will be like, okay, we agree with all these things that Liberals are talking about, and now they're actually delivering.
Mm-hmm.
Where now you're looking at this going, this is the same status quo that we had with, not with Chrétien, with who was, well, I guess with Chrétien too, where these powerful leaders get corrupted. And there's no accountability.
Sure,
besides
yeah.
voting in office.
Yeah. So I'm not super like I don't know a lot about like past prime ministers and stuff like that. I know a little bit about Stephen Harper, but I don't know much about that because I'm only 19, by the way, if you didn't know that. So
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Look 19.
Yeah, I know I don't look 19, but I am 19, so I'm pretty young, so I don't really know much about I don't have direct experience with past prime ministers, but I do know a little bit about them. A little bit. I know that Stephen Harper got in trouble with the Supreme Court a lot because he was doing a lot of questionably constitutional things, or questionable things in the sense of the Constitution and whatnot. So I have a general idea, but I don't know a lot about past prime ministers and whatnot.
No, if like seriously spend time reading what Chrétien did, it's the exact same thing. It seems that no matter what happens, liberals get into power and they get like swayed by Quebec. The exact
Yeah,
same thing
yeah.
happened. Like I think it was he did. Um,
Well, isn't that basically Trudeau's dad did the same thing with like a little bit. I'm not sure how much, but he was like I think he did good on like tying ties together with Quebec, but he did a lot of advocating for the Quebec government, I think.
yeah, Quebec is like the downfall of libs. Like I feel like it's like they're like hot ex-girlfriend who now they're in charge comes out and they're like, oh, hey, let's go like mess around with this old girl again, and you just get in trouble with them like every single time.
I
And
know.
so that's and then again now you go to Alberta and Alberta's we had this fleeting moment of these NDP here and that's completely gone. It's going to be another 30 years of stupid conservatives running this province into the ground. And I just look at this going, the only hope I have is whether or not Ontario doesn't go this conservative route. 'Cause, like PEI did it too
Yeah.
recently, right?
Yeah, I think I don't know because I don't know the general like I don't know what Doug Ford is polling at, but he has been cutting so much stuff and giving the money that he's cutting to just random shit that I don't think anyone is happy with him right now. So basically, he cut like OSAP to an extent, which is our Ontario student. Like I think everyone, I don't know what yours is in Alberta, but basically, it covers most of our tuition costs.
Yeah, wasn't it like your like free tuition for like very
Yeah.
low income
So
people?
low.
He's cutting that, right?
Yeah, he's cutting that. So low income students don't get free tuition anymore. It goes into a loan now. Essentially, is what happens. Is it switches to a loan, and it's like, okay, so now they have to get like a job out of college, and it's really annoying because that's like an extra buffer of
Hmm.
shit that you don't want to deal with. And the buffer zone afterwards, you used to have 6 months to start, and then you would start paying off your bills. That's also interest free. Now you don't have that interest free grace period, but you still have the grace period. So what happens is that you can, if you want, you don't need to pay your bills right away. But after the 6 months, compound interest just fucks your asshole. So essentially, you actually do just need to pay right out of school for your OSAP loans, outstanding loans or whatever. Um,
I
yeah,
can understand like how this is like directly impacting you, but I'm older than you, like
yeah,
a lot older.
no problem.
And I can tell you once you're out of school, like you look back at this and you're like, I don't give a fuck. Like you look back at it and you're going, well, it sucked to suck in the moment. But again, for me, I'll step back and look at it and going, okay, like how much does the university cost? I fully value my degree and what I got. I don't want anyone else to be limited by it. Um, but again, the majority of people will look at that and like they won't care. It won't be a
Oh no,
major
yeah,
issue for them.
I'm fully aware of how most conservative right leaning people think, which is bootstrap ideology of basically, I did it, you can do it, right? So once they get out of college and stuff like that, they are like, oh well, that was easy. If I can do
Yeah,
it,
it's
then
gonna
you
be
can do it.
stupid, right?
Yeah. No, I'm.
The only thing I have a problem with it is like these conservative ideology is like, can you please present a policy that actually makes sense and we're not recycling something from like the 80s? Like the idea of the complete like cut taxes at all possible cost, try to get corporate government or government acting like a corporation. It just there never seems to be something that you can pinpoint and be like, I actually really agree with this, or this will have a direct impact on a positive nature in society. That's the problem I had with the UCP.
Yep.
All their rhetoric here in Alberta is stupid. They're not gonna work. Like people are saying we're gonna sue like Trudeau on equalization payments. We're gonna stop the pipeline of oil going into BC. Like all this stuff that makes no sense. Everyone just votes with emotion, but I don't know. It's just my frustration I have right now, and I'm seeing it on the next federal level. And you're going, is this actually going to happen now, especially in Ontario now?
Yeah. So like, I know what you're saying with the whole, like, yeah, no politicians are really saying anything. That was like super apparent, at least for me. I noticed this very much in the Ontario election. NDP didn't say anything policy based. Liberal Party didn't say anything policy based. Green Party said stuff policy based, but they didn't act like they were gonna win. They were like, "Oh, we might get like 3 votes, so let's just like talk to these people about this stuff, and maybe they might agree with us." It's like, okay, well, why the fuck would I vote with you if you're not gonna like, if you don't think you're gonna win? Like, what? That makes no sense. So that happened, and then Doug Ford came along, and he was like, $1 beer. I'll get you $1 beer, and I'll make it legal to tailgate again, and like a bunch of other stupid shit that doesn't add or like it doesn't add to our society in any way. And well, now he's in office, and he legalized tailgating, and he's given us $1 beer, even though that's not exactly true. He just made it so that the minimum price a company can sell a beer at is $1, not that he's actually making beer $1. So some stupid thing, but essentially he gave it to people.
Actually selling like $1 beer. Like, can you actually go to the LCBO and buy beer?
No, they don't sell beer. There's supposed to be no name brand beer coming to Ontario, like the yellow can, fucking no name brand. But that's probably gonna taste like shit. So I don't know why. It's the dumbest thing ever that people voted on this for. But basically, he got votes because of that, and then now he's in office, and since he didn't have a plan, he's just doing whatever the hell he wanted to do. And he's like, "What? I didn't tell you I wouldn't do this." And it's like, okay. Like, he cut a bunch of shit, and then he gave $1 million+ to fucking Ontario horse racing.
Just for no reason? Like, is that going to do anything? Like, why did he do that?
Fuck if I know. Let's see. I'm going to Google it right now. Why did...
The only thing I've been paying attention with Ford that's been really nervous, because I see the UCP party here in Alberta doing the same thing, is the cuts to the public sector. Like, watching what he's doing with your guys' education system.
Oh, I know. It's so fucking
is like super scary, and you're like, oh my god, like I don't understand. Like, as a parent, I'm not a parent, but like as parents and watching their kids go to school, it's like this is the party, and these are the people that you won't put in office. They're gonna have a direct impact on you personally, negatively. Are you cool with this? And like, well, I get lower taxes now.
I hate that so much. It moves me so far left when people are like, "Oh, well, I have lower taxes." Like, do you have any idea what your taxes are doing, you fucking moron? Like, holy smokes! Like, your taxes could go towards so many positive things for your entire community, and you're like, "Oh, well, I have an extra $300 in my account." Like, what?
Yeah, I'd rather be focusing on whether or not. Again, this gets back to the Alberta standpoint, because I live here.
No problem.
Is going like, oil is going to run out. Like, we know this. There's reports constantly talking about not just run out, but the need and demand for oil. Like, there's an interesting report I was reading last week saying like how even before the election was saying like how eventually, like, all new energy that's coming out, it's like 40% of that is renewable. So eventually you'll have that crossing point where we won't need more oil
you need more.
All our power plants, all this stuff.
100%.
So why are we so obsessed about this stupid pipeline? I would argue with my friends and colleagues at work. I'm so tired of talking about a stupid pipeline. We need to diversify out our economy, and this is for the rest of Canada as well too. It can't be a mineral source extraction economy. What else are we doing? And really, no one's talking about that. We focus on the stupid shit, and it's just incredibly frustrating. But at least I'd rather be voting for a party that doesn't start to talk about like the social impacts of cutting education, this LGBTQ rights, and then on top of anything else, hitting healthcare hard, which I think the Conservatives will do.
Oh, well, yeah, Doug Ford's doing that, and he's trying to do that in here, I think. I don't know what did he cut with healthcare. He tried something, but it's going to the Supreme Court, because they're like, that's unconstitutional, you fucking moron.
Is he trying to do private healthcare?
I think so, yeah. That's part of it, which isn't exactly unconstitutional, but I think he was trying to cut something to bring in the private sector to subsidize it or whatever, even though that's not how private sector works, but that's like his thinking. That's how all conservatives think, right? Oh, to reduce the waiting lines, let's just introduce a for-profit private sector that won't help the single-payer system whatsoever. Like,
how long would be like an average wait time in ER in Ontario? Do you know?
Well, ER, it's instant, right? That's the point of the ER, is that you get
Well, no,
your
like
care instantly.
instant if you have like a medical, like
Yeah.
you're bleeding out. But if you can go to ER and they'll still have wait times, like
Yeah, so I'll
to
just
get
I'll
in.
just look at average wait time in Ontario because I did this. I had a conversation. You can look at it. Uh, Sorry. So I had a conversation with like I did a roundtable thing. You'll find it in this channel. I think you can see that if you just scroll up. There's like a thing I did. It's a roundtable. If not, just go to my YouTube channel. And basically, at the near the end of it, I get this guy named Ramsey came on, or Ramsey came on, and we talked about Canadian healthcare. He said he was from Calgary, and he moved to the United States. And he was like saying that the wait times were like the wait times for an MRI were extremely long, and the way to get rid of that is to just introduce a private sector. And I was like bugged about that because I'm like, that makes like, if you introduce private sector, it takes away the bargaining power of the single payer system, because without every single Canadian being on the system, the Canadian government can't say, oh, well, you're missing out on all of Canada. That certain drug company can just go to said private sector and they'll said private company and they'll go, yeah, I'll pay a premium for your drugs because all I have to do is charge my customers more.
Well, like jumping the queue in an MRI, like if you want to pay for one, because I've had an MRI done and like I rolled my ankle playing soccer and it was
Yeah.
swollen and a bone bruise. Like the wait time for the MRI was like between 3 and 6 months. And I was like, this is either going to be broken or healed or in this 3 or 6 months. So like, well, we can put you on like a cancellation list.
Yeah.
And I got it in a week. Like it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
But if you have a private MRI or other kind of private diagnostic systems, so that jumps the person saying, okay, you can get diagnosed quicker, but you're not going to get jump the rest of the line to get the surgery done faster, which that's what I don't understand.
Well, so what I did is I jumped into some research on why the MRI lines were so long, and what I found is that apparently the reason they're so long. Let me just open
Well,
up
they only
the.
run them for like, I think like not the full 24 hours. They only do like 12 hours a day. There's only so many of them. It costs a shit ton to actually get the MRI machine.
But the biggest
Um,
part of it, so apparently the biggest part of it, especially in, I think this was, where's the fucking link? Alberta and, yeah, so in Alberta and BC, they were discovering that actually, so this is BC, in in the BC government's continued quest to cut down on medical wait times, the province has announced an additional 11 million to increase $11 million to increase the number of MRI exams, which is like testing for using the MRI machine. So getting more doctors capable of using the MRI machines. The government is aiming to conduct a 37,000 is planning to conduct 37,000 more exams across the province by the end of March 2019. And then you scroll down and it goes, see, there's a bunch of more exams. I think, is it this one or is it Alberta? Oh, is it this one then? Ah, shit. This might be Alberta can end wait times. Alberta can end wait times is this one. If I can just pause my fucking ad blocker.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that the UCP is going to try to do something like this to implement a for-profit type of
Yeah, I don't
basic
doubt it.
level type of service thing.
But this, yeah, I think it was this one. This link right here. I'll just link it to the Discord. This, oh, I should have done it in chat. Fuck, I'm an idiot. I don't know if anyone's still in chat, so I can just link it to everything. This article basically goes on to explain that the wait times are not because there's not enough MRIs. It's because a majority of MRI scans turn out to be completely useless. And if the doctor just had more qualifications to his name, or like was better at his job, essentially, if he had a deeper education, they would have been able to just figure out that like the problem before getting an MRI. Yeah, so it's like this suggests about 13,000 lower back MRIs conducted in Alberta annually are not necessary. So apparently a lot of people are just getting unurgent and unnecessary MRI scans, which is clogging up the system. And apparently it costs $15 million. So in these two areas alone, there may be 17,000 unnecessary MRIs every year in Alberta, representing a cost exceeding $15 million.
Sorry, I'm just reading it. Hang on.
Yeah, no problem.
That was published 2015, man.
Yeah, so I don't know what's changed since then, but I'm just saying like that could still be a problem
Nothing.
today.
I
Yeah.
I can tell you like so like when even I talk to friends or people in the States, 'cause I travel the States quite a bit, and they start dogging like Canadian healthcare system. I'm like, man, like if you have a medical emergency, you're gonna get in. There's no wait times. The only time you're gonna have a wait time really is if you want to say get like a hip surgery,
Yeah.
you're gonna wait 6 months, right? Or
Yeah.
longer.
Yeah.
You want a knee surgery, it's gonna be 3 to 6 months. Non-medical, life-threatening stuff, there's a wait time. And so like if we really want to say let's change our complete system so that grandma can get her knees done
Yeah, no, exactly.
faster,
Yeah. It's like
it's like that's so stupid.
well, that's what I'm basically getting into like that. Like if you watch the video, whatever, at the end there, that's basically what the Ramsey was going for. He was like, "Oh, do you think it's moral that these people are waiting in lines for these MREs forever? Did you hear the guy who died in the emergency room in Winnipeg?" And I remember hearing about it, and I wanted to just slam him on it because I'm pretty sure that guy died by accident. Like it was just a complete fluke accident that he died, and there was no like actual responsibility placed on the hospital. Like he just accidentally died in the emergency room, and like
Well,
he
it's
blew it
funny
up to
because
some big thing.
we're gonna go through like if we vote in more conservatives, they're gonna start to hammer the medical system, right? And because again, it's one of our biggest expenditures,
Yep.
and it or a huge. Yes, there could be waste. Obviously, maybe $15 million wasted on unnecessary MRIs. Maybe that's still the case, maybe not.
Mm-hmm.
But when we start talking things like wait times, like it's funny because in Alberta, we're going to the last 4 years with the NDP. No one's has once mentioned long wait times. Our wait times before under the PCs, you had 6 to 8 hour wait time in the ER.
Mm-hmm.
It's down to like 2 to 3 ish.
Yeah.
Um, Again, that's for like non-medical like emergency
Yeah, you just
wait time
walk.
in the
Yeah, you have
ER.
like the cold or whatever. Like you're just going in to get checked
Yeah,
up.
it's just some idiot who's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling good. Go to the ER. It's like that's the wrong spot, but
Yeah.
whatever, you're gonna have to wait. It's just it makes me nervous hearing about this stuff, and so again, I was kind of curious to see like what does it take of an average Ontario person
Yeah.
dealing with
So.
Ford and dealing with like he's saying some stupid shit that's against like you like to think a majority of Canadians' value systems
Oh, he cut
and
OHIP. That's
priorities.
it. Sorry, I just came to my brain. He cut OHIP.
With OHIP.
So OHIP is what is it again? I think it's is it the basically anyone under the age of 25 gets free like prescription drugs? Um, I think is what OHIP is. Ford government proposal on scrapping OHIPs out of country medical. What is it? Fuck? What is OHIP? Applying for help and getting healthcare. Oh, that's just our Ontario health plan. So he just cut a bunch of money out of it. That's what he did. Let's see. Ford OHIP cuts because he cut. So that's the other thing he cut. He made it so that, or he's trying to make it so that people under the age of 25 can't get prescription drugs free anymore. He also canceled a plan to plant 50 million trees.
Yeah, I heard that one. That was kind of dumb.
Yeah. Oh fuck, is that it? Cutting out of country OHIP coverage isn't wrong on point. Okay, I don't give a fuck about you. Shit, I'm an idiot. I just closed the tab instead of going back. Oh god. Sorry. Ford OHIP cuts. Doug Ford OHIP moves to strike at the heart of Medicare. Yeah. Oh, this is what. Yeah, this is what's going to the Supreme Court because the people are like, I'm pretty sure this is unconstitutional, buddy. Ontario government's proposal to end out-of-country emergency OHIP coverage is a bad one. It presents a minimalistic measure. It is anything but. It is presented as a minimalist measure, but it is anything but. Rather, it is a violation of the Canadian Health Act. It strikes right at the heart of Medicare. So what the fuck is it? Okay, so he's planning on cutting so that when you leave the country, so if I go to the United States and I break my leg, as long as I have my health card on me, I get it fixed, and then the government will pay for it later, right? He was planning on cutting that.
I know. Well,
And I think that's going to the Supreme Court right now because that's unconstitutional.
I don't. That's weird because I pay when I leave the country, and I know most people will pay for additional out-of-country medical coverage. So if you are a grandma and you're
Oh, but
visiting
what
your
I'm saying is like,
kids,
yeah, if you go to the United States right now and you get sick and you need to go to the hospital, the Canadian government will pay for it. Or if you go to the United States and break your leg, the Canadian government will pay for it. If you go to the United States to get a specific thing done, they won't pay for it, right?
no, I know, but I'm thinking like I actually was in a car accident in Arizona, and I
Hmm.
actually went to the ER there, and they gave me a bill at the end, but I submitted that bill to my insurance through work and my insurance through like Alberta Blue Cross. I don't remember it being an option to submit it to like the Alberta healthcare system.
Maybe I'm not sure how exactly how like Alberta works, but because this is OHIP, this
Yeah.
is Ontario, um, out of because this is like based on this is like Ontario's one, so maybe Ontario's one works so that you have to send it directly to the Ontario government. Maybe yours works that you send it through whichever one your work gives you or whatever. Um,
That's interesting.
Ontario
Well, I will
considers
say this:
cutting.
if
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
like, sorry, it's kind of like something an anecdote as well too. When I was in Arizona, which I thought was really interesting, was I got my medical bill. Like it was literally like a 15-minute like checkup at the ER, and I was fine.
Yep.
Um, I think the bill was like 3 grand. And so when they finally came back and were like, "Okay, you owe us $3,000," it's like, "Okay, well, I'll submit it through my insurance company," and we're fighting with the insurance company to pay this bill. They said, "Actually, because you go through insurance, we give you a discount. You only will have to pay like $1,500." I was like, "So you're telling me if I'm an American citizen, I don't have healthcare insurance at all, my bill would be 3 grand, or
Yeah.
you would only charge 1,500? Like that makes no sense. Like
Yeah. And then
no wonder why poor people like go bankrupt. Like it's
yeah,
so
and then
stupid.
on top of that, once you like let's say you have insurance, the fucking premiums you're paying every single month, like you got into an accident that was a fluke thing. Most people don't get into an accident all the time, but like you'll want to have that insurance so that when you do have an accident, it doesn't cost you $3,000. But the problem is you're paying this fucking constant every month a premium to keep that insurance, which then ends up being more than $3,000.
Yeah, I think my insurance for out of country through work was like it's actually like
So it's what you cut out there.
oh so
Oh, you must be typing in chat. Oh, that's really awkward. I think because your mic's fine, I'll just go into. I just do it just so that nobody walks into here. Oh fuck, I'm an idiot. If you want to
sorry, I
open,
think my mouse hovered over it. No, I
yeah,
was gonna say like the thing is yeah, I think I pay like an extra like $20 a year for like out of country medical insurance through my work, and it was like you don't even think about it, right? But
yeah,
the poor person who's like, here's a $3,000 bill, or here's an insurance company, here's half the bill for the same service. I don't understand how you can justify that.
well, it's because it's all private companies, and that's like how the United States works. For us, it's a right? Right. We've put it in our constitution. The United States hasn't, so like it's up to the companies to figure out what is the price, essentially. Um, like capitalism, you know what I'm saying?
Which gets to I made a comment before too, like, oh, I don't think capitalism works in the end. It's just communism is the only alternative that we have right now to capitalism.
Yeah, well, that and socialism, which are like slightly different things, but if you wanna, like, I don't know, you can or cannot put them together. It doesn't really matter. Because yeah, socialism is more of a democratic solution, and then communism is more of a state-based solution ish, and then there's anarcho-communism, which is basically that everybody is just like their own person, so it kind of just works out because we all want to work together for the betterment of everybody. That's a very broad definition of all of it, but yeah, it's like I don't know. Capitalism is fucking super weird. It is so easily taken advantage of, but there's also no evidence that socialism like can properly take over a nation. It seems.
Oh well, I don't know. Like the Scandinavian countries, social democrats
Yeah, but that's not like
seems to
that's not.
work.
Yeah, that's not like. But that's not like full on socialism. That still is capitalism with a super heavy
Yeah,
social safety net. So I'm okay with that. That clearly works and is clearly the best way to go. It's like sock dem kind of
it
heavy social
stems
safety net.
it. No, I don't know if it completely works. Like it slows the bleeding that capitalism has on society.
Yeah, I know, but well, sure. Like, let's say I agree with that, but then when does it end, right? And then it's like, how do you get? So we're moving into a fucking talk about socialism, I guess. But it's like, how do you? What what exactly does socialism mean? Because every time you talk to somebody new, it means something different. How are we supposed to all agree to these things? How would they specifically work? What's the evidence of them working? Like, I'm all for worker-grown co-ops. That's fine. Like, I'm like that seems to work. But why does that have to be the only thing? Um, it seems like if you're so against the capitalist, isn't it feasible that in a socialist world they could just vote for one person to be like the leader of their company, and then isn't he a capitalist now? So isn't he evil? But he was voted in there democratically. Like, I don't know. It's just like there's all these weird like holes that don't seem to be like properly answered.
Yeah, but I think it gets down to again the like what's the intrinsic value of an individual and what how do we deem someone's value society and their time and their work, right? And the problem with capitalism is that you exploit the shit out of people constantly.
Yeah.
And this whole like neoliberalism, race to the bottom, free trade, globalization movement that we've had for the last 40 years that's really been ramped up through technology advancements, it's leaving a lot more people behind. And eventually, what will happen is what my fear is no one saw the USSR fall apart. That just happened
Mm-hmm.
like within like a few years. You talk to your grandparents and you ask them, did you ever think the USSR would fall apart? And they're like, no. But I'm not saying that capitalism is ever going to fall apart or our society will. You just see it going, this
Yeah, you like
isn't going to
wonder.
end well.
Yeah, you wonder like what the fuck's gonna happen. But like, yeah, I don't know. Like that's like the because you see that the USSR fell. Obviously, that's not what everyone calls socialism, right? Basically, like, that's like a really fucked up version of socialism.
No, but that's what any Republican or right-wing conservative person will say is socialism, right? So,
Yeah,
uh,
but
someone
I'm
who's
saying it's like
educated
too.
enough is not going to know what it is.
Yeah,
So,
like
yeah.
they'll know that it's a pretty fucked up version of like that's what I'm saying is like obviously communism or Stalinism, I guess, is what it would be called. What is not even close to like what would be ideal for a socialist country. But it's just I always wonder like if socialism was so good, like why we know the tipping point of capitalism because it's like if you deregulate it enough, you'll have a boom bust cycle, which will just like throw your fucking entire nation into poverty for X amount of time until you can stimulate the economy, hopefully, and reinvigorate and like build yourself back up. I don't know where that is with like socialism and stuff like that. It seems like it's very easily corruptible. Somebody bad, i.e., Stalin, gets in, fucks some shit up. Next thing you know, the nation's freaking out because he's throwing people in gulags left and right.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like
The alternative.
unpredictable. It seems.
Damn, I keep typing in the chat.
No
I
problem.
agree. Like the alternative capitalism isn't really adequately formulated or thought out completely. I think, and that's why there's no real major countries, developed nations who have completely changed to a new economic system.
Yeah.
You're just thinking like my problem is at what point in time do you have this complete race to the bottom, scorched earth mentality? I'm gonna make as millions of dollars as I possibly can
Hmm.
before the average worker realizes I'm getting fucked over really hard.
Yeah.
Time to revolt.
Like yeah, and that seems to be like what's apparently in like that seems to be like the nature of capitalism. It seems like I can agree with that. Like from the socialist side of like the intrinsic nature of capitalism is to have like the rush to the bottom, like you're saying. Like how many people can I screw over before they realize that I'm fucking them over? Seems to be the case. And then we add regulations on top of that to make it so that the the race to the bottom isn't as severe or like doesn't happen at all. So like in the sense of like we give free healthcare so that there's no race to the bottom in terms of people's fucking health, right?
Yeah, and again, we do I think again, I believe strongly in like human capital and like the advantage that a society with a healthy population can
Yeah.
add to again the betterment of it. And it's the same thing like education, which is like why we really shouldn't be fucking around too much of our education systems as well, because we know the net positive is huge for the rest of everyone else here.
Yep.
So but getting back to like again the alternatives to capitalism, I think the problem is we know this doesn't really work, and we're going again. Your comments going, well, is socialism the right one? And be like, well, maybe we just haven't thought of a system yet that will work correctly or
Yeah.
can answer those questions. So that's my kind of thing. Is that eventually I think
Well, I
we
think
will come up
actually,
with somebody new. It's just not right now.
yeah, I think potentially like socialism is kind of inevitable because like if you would automate enough things, then there's quite literally no working class, and we all just have to kind of put that like you know what I'm saying like inevitably there'd be some sort of like uber super all encompassing social safety net when there's actually like no jobs to work to make money, so we all just kind of get given everything, right?
Or we keep doing what we're doing. We add all the automations, and we have a complete further divide from your wealthy and your poor, and you get these huge divides happen, right? I kind of thought it's kind of like when I was in school, I kind of always looked at like fast food industries or like subsidized food industries and going, as long as your mass population is still fed and fat, they won't notice that they're being taken advantage of.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so until they're actually hungry out on the streets and realizing that I'm getting completely fucked over, I just see the system continuing on for a long time. Well, we can sit back here and I can sit back and hypothesize what could happen differently or what would be the alternative. It's just it's just very clear that the writing is on the wall that this doesn't work.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, that's like the wondering of like, I guess that's like the question or the answer or whatever we're looking for is that we know why capitalism fails. If you deregulate the fuck out of it, you'll turn into a boom bust cycle, and the bust, and when it will boom. That's great, but when it busts, you put your entire fucking nation into like super uber poverty for who knows how long. And the only way to get out of it is some like tricky fucking economic stimulation.
Well, yeah,
And the last time we had a massive one, the only way we got out of it was because of a fucking war breaking out, right?
well, no, the last one we got out of it from '08 is because
Oh no, I mean
the
like the
United
last
States
major one,
went.
like right, the fucking huge one, the Dust Devils in Alberta and everything like that. The like the Great Depression in 1917.
We're talking like World War One, like you're trying to
Yeah,
say.
post World War One, the Great Depression.
Yeah, so like 1930.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
moving
think it was
into like World
19.
War
I think it
Two.
was 1926 to the 1930s.
Yeah.
So that one only got stopped because of a fucking war breaking out.
Yeah, but again, we've gone into a completely different economic system, and world markets react completely differently. Like that World War approach to fixing a huge recession, we're going to do what we did in back in '08. Like if there's another major world recession, all we're going to do is um, completely borrow as much money as we possibly can to kickstart the economy. But the fear is that eventually inflation will get out of control, which hasn't happened. So I don't know.
Yeah, so like yeah, but at least we have like a solution. Whereas I'm wondering what's the so we know that in capitalism if you deregulate it, it's bad. So we could just add more regulations to try to make it as like good as possible. I'm wondering what's that mean with socialism? What is like is there probably won't be a boom bust cycle with socialism. We don't really know. Like what is the downfall? What is bad socialism? Is it just will we just have to be dealing with corruption in government or what? Because it seems like whatever happened in the Soviet Union was probably bad socialism or bad communism. Um, Same thing with Mao, right? Like
Yeah,
that was
you,
bad. We don't want that.
yeah. If you talk to anyone in China right now, like again, China is kind of
It's really not communist, but like yeah, people would
no.
call it that.
There's capitalism intentions, but there is still your government is you only have like one party.
Yeah.
There's a ton of corruption that will exist, but the average citizen still goes to work, still gets exploited,
Yeah.
and you still have this rising middle class and these class systems with how much income you're earning. But I don't know. I don't think we've ever really seen, this ideal socialist environment that we can actually say if it could actually work correctly.
Yeah, but it's just I think the fear is that like what because what if we get into it like we a socialist we go with socialism like the next we have a world that goes socialist. I don't even know how. Maybe I don't even know how it would start with a state, right? Because every time a state seems to want to go socialist, it kind of or not really socialist. Maybe there's arguments for socialism working, but like communist or I don't know, maybe socialism. Like just
Like if you're
basically
talking
taking
about
it.
like a dictatorship like Venezuela as an example, right? Like going, I know it's like a meme and
Yeah, it's a big meme, but
talking
like
points.
what I mean
Well,
is like
well,
anytime it seems that like a country wants to move towards taking the means of production, it just kind of fails after a while, and it's a question on how much of that is outdoor factors because Venezuela you could heavily say that was because of the United States like embargoing the fuck out of it because it didn't want it to exist.
yeah,
Um,
you look at the very start of Venezuela, right? Like the good that it did for the average citizen. Like you increase like literacy rates, you increase their healthcare systems,
yeah,
like you took you out of complete poverty. But you might look back at Venezuela going, their fall of Venezuela is because oil went from 150 bucks a barrel down to like 60, and you
yeah,
were spending a ton of money for all your systems. You had a corrupt government, and once the wool gets pulled out, the same thing you can say like ISIS too. Like the fall of ISIS, yeah, you can bomb the shit out of them. It also helps when they are not getting money from their oil reserves
yeah,
and and oil starts tanking. All this has a huge impact on all these socialist kind of nations. But so again, like going, can this actually work in a first world nation, a pure socialist structure? What would that actually look like? I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm just more against going. Capitalism's not going to work in the long run. We
yeah,
can regulate it as much as we possibly can, but it's going to be a slow bleed or a gushing wound out of your neck. And right now, you might say the states is the gushing wound out of the
yeah,
neck, and
maybe.
the social democracies of the Scandinavian countries are it's the slow bleed, but
Hmm.
it's you're still bleeding.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird because I'm wondering because it's like hmm. Because if there's bleeding, because you'd have to assume that if there's bleeding caused by capitalism, there would inevitably be some sort of bleeding caused by like socialism or stuff like that. It seems like that kind of points towards corruption. There seems to be a fuck ton of corruption in any kind of socialist moving into communism state. That was like the problem with the USSR. It was like one state, literally one party. Like fucking, you don't agree with the state, gulag to you. Venezuela got corrupt as fuck, and once their currency, whatever kept them powerful, fell from under them, like you said, it just completely fell over. China, well, was just murdering everybody, right? Wasn't that like the whole problem they were falling over? It just seems like corruption is like the downfall of what socialism is, and it seems very easily corruptible. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see it because again, in the socialist society, the only real power then is political power, which can lead to corruptions. Where in a capitalist system, you can say like the true power is the power of the dollar, which will lead to the corruption. So then
Well,
you can say
it's not
it's
even really
still
that. Like
corruption.
because of democracy, so because of democracy and capitalism, the power is kind of split between money and speech, I guess would be call it. Even though like in the states they've kind of mixed those together, but like you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
I
Like
don't. Yeah,
you have the people who vote, and they have there's government, and then there's the business class, right? You have the businesses. They do things a little bit differently. They're not held accountable by the people, whereas the government is. But in a socialist, everything is held accountable by the people, and everything is politically run. And who seems to do very well politically? Well, fascists seem to know how to talk to people very well, so it might be an open door for them to get in. Now, I'm not saying like a communist nation would obviously probably not go fascist, but what I'm saying is like those kind of people that want power might be able to grab it easier in communist nations or socialist nations than anything else. Because I always look at like news, for example, since news is in no way controlled by government, they are, and as long as they're protected by free speech, they can keep the government in check indefinitely. And if at any point they fail, like let's say CNN just starts like fucking lying out of their fucking teeth, another company will step up and take their place.
No, I don't know if I agree with that one. I think you're going to states where you have a profit motive in the news cycle business right now, and so when you're seeing like how Fox News now is like their number one source of news in the United States, it just shows you how easily people can be corrupted by the news. I'd be more interested in going like looking at CBC as a model for
Oh,
having a very
yeah.
accurate like
So
media check to the power.
yeah, but they're still privately owned. They're just not profit based. So yeah, I'm okay with making media not profit based, but they should still be privately owned. I'm just talking about like it being privately owned versus governmentally run or like democratically run. If that was like not super clear.
No, yeah, it's clear.
Yeah, so I don't like that CNN. So sorry, maybe I use CNN as a bad example because yeah, they are super profit driven. I don't like that CNN is profit driven because yeah, it adds like some whatever gets them the most money they'll fucking talk about or whatever.
And it's the same, and even getting them back to whether or not like democracy is really the best answer or check as well too.
Yeah, I
So
wonder
you're
that
looking
a
at
lot.
this in both of our provinces here, like people have voted in power that might not be in their own best interest because they voted in an emotion, right?
Yeah.
Or they didn't actually spend the time to read the facts. Like I dug through all the various, well, pretty much just the NDP and the UCP here in Alberta, because those were the only two parties that were actually going to win in these seats here in Alberta. And actually was reading through all their policies and like quizzing my friends and like, hey, did you actually read this? No one reads this shit. And
Oh
even having
yeah,
a
I
really
know.
good media or a publicly funded news cycle business, like whatever you want to say, the average person is still really stupid.
Well, I would say that's not a failing that's not a failing with democracy. That's a failing with education. We aren't educating our people into looking into stuff and like actually wanting to know about our government.
Or it's a failing of again your economic cycle because these people are going, I don't have time to do this.
Yeah, maybe.
I like
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to go to work and I got to raise my kids. I don't have time to read all this shit. I do it because I find it fascinating and I really enjoy it. But then the average person doesn't,
Because
and
yeah, they
then
have
you
a
get
million things to do.
swayed by these leaders who come in who say, I'm going to get your jobs back, and you're going, how and
Yeah.
how, why?
And it's like, yeah, no, I understand that. And then it's, yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, because like, yeah, sure, capitalism could be a failure because if you don't give enough people, if you make it so that you need to sit here and like fucking work your ass off for X amount of hours within the week, how could you ever have time to take part in the political system? But I don't know. I see that heavy regulation is a solution to that, like making it so that maybe even that it's not a 5 day work week, it's a 4 day work week, blah blah blah. Like these different sort of regulations that could be put in place by government, and I just don't see how, like, what's the difference between that kind of regulation, making it 4 day work week, and then like socialism. Like I don't know. Like I guess maybe
Yeah.
you would just figure it out based on like people and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's just like weird. Like
It's a good start. Like again, giving that average worker more time to spend with their family, do hobbies, find things, that they want to educate themselves more on. I look back and going, why aren't we offering like on election days, like have the
yeah, like
workday off as
that
a
should be a
paid
day off,
leave
100%.
day?
Yeah,
Or like at the same time, like I don't know if you can actually say this or not, but like you have to read something first, right? Before you go
yeah.
and you exercise your vote. Be like, here's the two policies. They're very clear in front of you. We've dumbed it down as low as we possibly can. You can read each one. You can choose not to read it, but at least it's in front of you so that you're not being swayed by these really dumb talking points. And at least then we might have an informed electorate
I would
who's
say that.
going to actually maybe understand that.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's probably one of the most important things is like having. It's weird though because it's rough because it's like It's like you're boxing in the politicians, but they need to have some sort of fucking plan. Like if there's no like real policies going on, if you're just blabbing your mouth off in front of a stage, like if you're basically Ben Shapiro, right, where you just Jordan Peterson does this more, where you're just making a million claims and you have no answers for like the problems at hand. You shouldn't be getting voted in as like the leader of your country or province.
No, I 100% agree.
There needs to be like some sort of like education at the polling booth so that people know like exactly what the fuck they're voting for.
Yeah, the same thing. Like again, you're going, okay, so we want to cut corporate tax rates, and you're going, okay, like what is that going to do? And how are you going to ensure that the average corporation that takes like a 5% corporate tax rate doesn't just put that money in their own profit or do a share buyback or lead to a higher bonus payout for the corporation because they've already learned how to operate their business at the base minimum. So when you start to do these things, that's why I have a problem with the Conservative Party is you're going clearly to satisfy this corporate structure without any tie-in to how that benefits the average person, which is always why you talk to any conservative or Republican in the States, and I always gonna push them. How does Trump helping you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, and they like can't answer that question.
They have no answer.
Yeah, no, it's really rough.
I even asked Brent. Is it Brento or Brent? I'm not sure.
I think it's Brento. I don't know. My brain's
Brento,
not working.
I messaged him before. I was like,
3 a.m. for me right now. So,
yeah, I'm like, yo, what policies actually helped you? He's like, well, the tax cuts helped me. What did it do? It gave me maybe an extra $100 or $200 in my pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, and then it's like odds are that's just going to circulate back into you paying for your medical bills or whatever.
Yeah. Well, anyways.
Well,
there you go, bro.
Yeah. Wait, shit. What did I just click? I don't know what I just pressed. I don't know what I just did. Whatever. Something's going on my screen. But yeah. So, good talk. We agree on most things, I think. So that's cool.
It's my first. Well, at least this way you can know that there aren't some stupid redneck Albertans who all they care about is their stupid pipeline and oil.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No, I know. Like, yeah, it's okay. I've actually talked to. Well, I mean, I guess that Roms guy was an Albertan too. He was a fucking idiot. But no, yeah, I'm aware. I think yeah, no, it's
I was gonna say like the fear that I always have, and I've talked to lots of people about this, and I would go, I don't want Alberta, and in turn the rest of Canada, but mostly just Alberta right now because we're so tied into oil.
Mm-hmm.
In 50 years, we'll be the Detroit of the North, right? I don't want us to sit back here and be like, hey, we had all this opportunity to extract this huge valuable resource. We didn't do anything with it. And now you're having populations leave, you're having housing crisis, you're having, a steady outflow of people from this province that will be the next Detroit. And I don't know, it's just frustrating because no one seems to be talking about that.
Yeah.
Besides the few maybe extreme left parties.
I know, it's really, it's kind of rough. Like, it's weird. Like, I don't understand this. I wish the Green Party like acted as if they would win a vote, because they will one day if they talk loud enough. Because they're like, at least the representative for Ontario was like, we need to move to a green economy, like put up solar panels, wind, and all that, and like that's how we'll generate our energy and sell our energy to other nations, not through coal and oil. And it's like, yeah, you're 100% right. And then it's like, oh, sorry. My bad. Somebody just popped in the chat and I just got distracted. And yeah, it's like this fixation on the oil. It's like, yeah, well, we're trying to move away from the oil. We want to get out. Like, climate change is a thing, dog. Like, we got to get away from this fossil fuels. And
yeah, we got to get away from it. But at the same time, though, like, your shirt, your microphone, everything that we have has remnants of oil in it in every single production line. So it's not going to be completely 100% finished with it unless we find a new resource that we can infuse in everything else that we do. But the problem is again, if you want to do some actually pretty cool reading, Norway with their trust fund is pretty fascinating what they did with their oil extraction, which could be something that the rest of Canada could do as well. And you'd be surprised too. I talked to friends who are like honestly in the trades and they're welders, And I'm like, I think we should nationalize Fort McMurray. Like actually like
Oh,
just take it
maybe.
over. And people actually kind of agree with me, and that's really fascinating to hear. But I don't know. It's 1 o'clock my time, and I have a flight tomorrow morning, so I
No
should
problem.
probably get out of here too, man.
Yeah.
But
Okay. No
thanks for
problem.
the chat. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No
It was
problem. I
fun.
appreciate it too, buddy.
All right, man. Give a good night.
All right. You too, buddy. Peace out.